who tell the truth? Mark Scott, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Scott, radio station is the fruit. Mark Scott, straight up from the root. Mark Scott, who tell the truth? Mark Scott, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Scott, radio station is the fruit. Mark Scott, straight up from the root. Mark Scott, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Scott stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb.
Yeah, my name is Jasnity Kaldata Francis Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my X next to the cop. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data.
Basement, level vibes with another one, straight up, blackness aye, who tell the truth? Mark Scott, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Scott, radio station is the fruit. Mark Scott, straight up from the root.
Oh, Jesus Christ, if cost of living double, I don't know what happened. A pound of sugar is $300 already. Flour, everything gone up. Everything just raising. You gotta get about $40,000 for buy good ration. You gotta get 3 man now. A weekend man, a monthly man, and a fortnight man.
Yeah, my name is Jasnity Kaldata Francis Vietnam, and since 1965, I become a voter, and I always place my X next to the cop. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Straight Up. My name is Wayne Caesar. I'm going to be your host for tonight, the 11th day of November in the year 2023. Again, welcome. Mark is off tonight. He's been, working very hard of late, so he gets the night off tonight. I want to encourage everyone up front to like the program and just go ahead and share the link. I hope you're all doing very, 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 very well. Let me just take a quick look to see who and who is on. Rhonda Spencer, Tom, good evening. Arlene Ruben Benjamin, good evening, Arlene. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Keith Beresford, I hope you're seated already. All right. I'm going through the list. All right, guys. Tonight we're going to rock and roll. I have a very interesting guest. That's going to be all right. My guest is here. Thank you so much, operator. Welcome to Straight Up. Pastor Anil Sugrim, good evening to you. I hope you're doing very, very well.
Good evening. Good evening. Doing good thus far.
Good, good, good. Great, great. That is awesome. Tonight we're gonna just rock and roll, and we're gonna try to focus more so on Region 6 and what's happening on the ground in Region 6. If you just wanna just give us, generally what's going on the ground in Region 6 for starters, sir.
All right. Good night, and again, um, good to be on tonight. It's always a pleasure to be with you. Caesar, I know Mark, like you said, is very busy. Well, we're preparing to meet with the U.S. delegation in the morning at New Amsterdam, and hopefully we will have some interesting points to make and some interesting observation to share with them in that process. But as usual, Region 6, most of the times, the PPP felt that, they have Region 6 under their control totally. That is what they believed, that is what they thought. Many people that live in this region that is of East Indian origin supports the PPP. On the other hand, now there are many that is grumbling, many that are dissatisfied, many just don't be as comfortable as they thought they would be under the PPP government, but they are scared. I have been speaking to people all the time. Today, there are several persons I spoke with along the upper quarantine area. I visited them. There are many that would call and you would go to their house and we would sit and talk, not realizing that the day passes so quickly. By the time you make two wrongs, the day comes to an end. And many of these guys would say, man, where are you going? Let me talk some more. But even though they talk to you, there are a lot of people, because of the victimization that the PPP is known for, because of victimization that is imposed upon people, lots of these Indian people are just scared to come out publicly and say what are happening to them in their business, at their work, in their rice field, in their cash crop, in their farm, citrus, and so forth, ground provision, all of that. People have been terribly affected, one way or the other. The fishermen, workers, people have been so harmed by the policy of the PPP government that they are so troubled to speak out. Quickly, there was an instance that took place last week. I think it's around last weekend. The 5263 NDC was mandated by an organization or individual, I'm not too sure, to distribute some hampers in that upper quarantine area. You know what it did? They end up and went to village 54 to do the distribution. The dam that separate Union or 53 village from 54 village. The NDC operates from 52 to 63, which include Union 53 village. And not one Afro-Guyanese was given a hamper. The next village, not one was given a hamper. Not one Afro-Guyanese was invited to that process. And they were giving out hamper. Barefacely, they deny those Afro-Guyanese in 53 Union area to get a hamper. Now, what are we telling the nation of Guyana What are we telling our sister CARICOM countries? What are we telling the international community as
Well,
a nation? How we are treating the people in this country? And yet you can hear the PPP boasting in their One Guyana slogan, which is so false and lies upon lies, because this country is segregated under the PPP government. And there is no doubt of that. No doubt of that. When you come to Cariveton, you know, we are having a few new councillors sitting on that council. The PPP council dominate the entire council. Not one of us sit in any committees. Not one of us is being informed by the council or participate in any of the council activity that they carried out, apart from the mandated statutory or so. But whatever they do, they don't involve us. They don't involve us, or they don't inform us. They don't want us around. But yet the PPP can shout out that they're having one Guyana. You know, and so yes, Caesar, go right ahead. Yeah.
No, Mr. Sugrim, that was well put. And listen, when you talk of the PPPC and their one Guyana, the one Guyana is for the supporters that support them. You understand me? The PPPC is a very biased government against the people who do not support them. And you're seeing it. It's the norm with this installed government when it comes to Afro-Guyanese to just bypass them. And not just Afro-Guyanese, but Indo-Guyanese and everyone from the other ethnic groups that do not support them. They are going to be bypassed because this is how this government is designed to operate. We are going to take care of those who support us. And that's it. But Mr. Sugrim, I just want to touch base with you. How are the sugar workers doing in Region 6? What is happening for the sugar workers in Region 6?
Well, you know, the sugar workers, they are not satisfied as to how they are treated. You know, because of that, we have learned that you know, weekly incentives and so on, when the factory would normally grind, will be given to workers when you would have achieved a weekly target that is set. But when you go back, you're talking about Albion and Blaymont, and of course the Rosal Kanji, that they recommence operation. But outside of that, you know, what they do because of the dissatisfaction of the sugar workers, they keep reducing the target. There's something they've been doing. They keep reducing the target, dropping the target lower and lower and lower, so that the workers can get some incentive at the end of the week. Because initially the target that they set, they cannot achieve. You know, the factory, you know, are poorly maintained. You know, the operation is not properly supervised. Again, we get a lot of square, wrong hole and square pegs and wrong hole. A lot of, you know, those managers, you know, how they're handpicked and so on and placed there. They're not being able to have a proper relationship with the workers. Transportation for workers, like some of the workers traveling from Skelton and so forth to go and work at Albion. People would leave home, you know, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning to go to work and get back home till 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. You know, that is the actual person that goes to work. What about the family? You know, a man, wife will get up 1 o'clock in the morning to start make preparation for him to leave home around 3, 4 o'clock to go to work at Albion and Rosal. So it's very disgusting. You know, it's very disgusting.
It makes me want to think, Mr. Sugrim, since they keep lowering these targets because the targets are not being achieved, do they actually have, a market for the sugar that is being produced right now? Because from what I'm hearing and from what I'm seeing, it seems as if they don't even have a proper market for the sugar. And then listen, we're producing sugar in Ghana, yet the price of sugar is through the roof. So it's really hard to figure out exactly what this government is doing, this installed government is doing, or trying to do. So I guess the sugar, we still need to look at sugar because it appears as if sugar is just about over. But I don't wanna spend most of the time on sugar. I wanna also touch a little bit with the rice farmers, because I understand that the rice farmers are also experiencing some struggles out there in Region 6. If you mind elaborating.
Yeah, the rice farmers are struggling too. They're struggling. They're having water problem. I spoke to a man this morning, and he said some of the water that they're coming in, it's salty, it's salt water. That's not good for rice. One man told me he only realized that he was pumping salt water after the rice started to burn out, and then he decided that the water was salt. So fertilizer is an issue. Fertilizer, the price of fertilizer is extremely high. That has impacted the rice farmers. Spare parts, fuel, all of that. They are struggling. Lots of people sometimes even don't want to plant rice anymore. It's really, really it's a real struggle for the rice farmers. Even if we go further, people that plant cash crops, and so people that plant little things like plantain and cassava and all of that, they are strong, because of the weather, they're not having water. We just come out of agriculture month. I was telling a man this morning, I said, man, I remember there were days when you have agriculture month whereby people will receive things. We're talking about an oil economy that the PPP government is boasting of. We're talking about millions and millions of dollars, and we're talking about US dollars. And to convert US dollars into Guyanese dollars, we're talking about you got to get big calculators, one, big notepad and pen, and so for calculate them kind of money. I know using an accountant, you probably can do the maths in your head very quickly. But for me, I got to take my time and so long and put them zeros. And when I can't pronounce the zeros, I better got to write it in word. We're talking about dollars. We're talking about millions of dollars. But yet the ordinary man is suffering day by day by day. The ordinary man is feeling the squeeze, whereby we're just not benefiting from the resources of Guyana. And so the man of planting the rice, it's time for government to subsidize so that these people can have a decent livelihood. Like when they go back and forth talking about sugar. I told some people if we close down the sugar industry and we give every sugar worker a stipend of the billions of dollars that they're throwing into the industry, that we're not having any return for, will compensate people more than what they are investing in the industry without a turnover and a profit. And it's like the rice farmer. What we need to do, people need to ensure that rice farmer, they benefit. Spare parts is a problem. Fuel is high. The labor force, because of the cost of living, the monies, rice farmers now are not even able to afford to pay a decent day's wage to people to work because the cost of living is so high. A piece of pumpkin for $1,000, 2 baigan for $1,000, 16 bora for $800. How in the world you can survive living in an oil-rich economy where the PPP government keep boasting about oil and money, but when you come down to see the ordinary people, my brother, they are suffering. When you come down to the quarantine, when you go to Region 6, you may drive along the roadside and people send everything like China gold. When you go along the old roadside, you might see some few fancy houses and vehicles and so on. But when you go down to the back street and you're going down the areas, then you see the suffering of people. And no talk about mosquito. You up on the public road in Region 6, you're finding mosquito. Right? You got lock up in your house before sun go down. You're not talking about mosquito. We're talking about an oil economy and we can't control mosquito. We can get control of mosquitoes. Mosquito wrapping up people. You know? You're finding people along the upper quarantine and for the central quarantine and so forth. You got to get a big smoke pot, lighting, burning all the time. Smoke out your whole house, smoke out everything. Mosquito. You know? And so that is what people are experiencing. Rises on downhill, sugar, the ordinary farmer is everybody just keep having a struggle, you know, with their day-to-day livelihood. It's hard, you know. When we talk about insecticide and weedicide, is very expensive, you know. Man, I just plant a little thing in your backyard. When you plant a little thing, the cost of buying some chemical to get rid of insects and so on, it is so expensive that it's even not worth it sometimes to plant because of how medicine for plants and all of that is expensive. And so government need to step up. And like I was saying, when you go back to agriculture month that we came out of, you know, in the past, under the Burnham regime, and under past, you know, PNC regime, agriculture month used to be a handout month. You know, there wasn't oil. Again, I had very little money, but a lot of seeds used to be distributed. A lot of fertilizer used to be distributed. A lot of plants used to be distributed. As recent as the coalition government, you know, I remember plants was distributed by thousands and thousands of seedling was distributed to people so that they could have plant and all of that. You know, this agriculture month, are we hearing about market day? Market day, NDC selling egg. NDC, the NDCs selling egg. You know, pack up egg. You know, sometimes you just gotta laugh and as to what is going on. You carry eggs at the NDC and selling it for $200 cheaper than what the normal grocery store or shop is selling. You know, it's a shame. It's a shame on this government as to the suffering of people. Christmas coming up when, and it's more expensive to get it.
Shame indeed. Shame indeed. 25 minutes after 8 here in the US, 25 after 9 in Guyana. We are talking with Pastor Anil Sugrim, and you're hearing it directly from the horse's mouth. He is on the ground in Guyana, and he's speaking of the atrocities that every day Guyanese is facing under this installed government. You know, Mr. Sugrim, all that you would have said thus far depicts that this government is totally transactional and does not care about everyday Guyanese and what they have to face. And you are correct. The coalition was handing out seeds and doing all these different things to try to encourage people, empower people to do their own little gardening and to have their little gardens to help them out. And that was being done with an economy that was not an oil economy. And now you have an oil economy. We understand that the deal is bad, but there is still a lot of money coming in and at the disposal of the government. They have went into the natural resources fund 1,000 times. It's like every time they go to parliament, they want to go into the natural resource fund for something. And yet we find that the Chinese on the ground continues to live in deep poverty. You know, you speak of mosquitoes. You know, back in the day, you know, with the coalition, they would do sprayings. You know, they focus on drainage and irrigation, which is very, very important when you talk about, you know, certain parts of Barbados and, of course, on the East Coast, where we are below sea level and drainage and irrigation so essential. You know, they're lacking in that area. Hence the reason the right farmers, when they're trying to flood the rice fields, they're getting salted water instead of the sweet water that they're looking for. That's because of the lack of proper drainage and irrigation, and also the lack of rainfall. We're seeing this across Guyana, where rain is not falling, at the pace that it usually falls at in the seasons that you would be expecting the rain. And we know that we're extracting oil now, and the flaring is going to affect that, the ecosystem, where you may not get as much rain as you anticipate. So government should be prepared for these things. But it's the lack thereof of preparation by this government. Like I would have said before, they never seem to have a plan or a strategy for anything. Moving forward, Pastor Sugrim, I want to also touch on the starvation that is happening in Region 6, where you have children showing up to school hungry, children going to bed hungry. If you want to elaborate on that, we know that the cost of living is through the roof. Please, sir, go right ahead.
Because of the impact of the cost of living, I know families that are unable to send their children on a regular basis to school. The transportation is an issue. You used to get buses under the coalition, huge buses that children used to be traversing on back and forth to school. It was properly utilized. It was utilized, and this government find it fitting to park them at the corner of the road and at the corner of the street and left them there, put them out of service. What they did, like in the Corriverton area, they get a 30-seater bus. One. Which hardly, I was with my wife one day and at a store opposite a school in Corriverton, and I saw children are scrambling to go in this bus. The bus was rampacked, that they were literally pushing and pulling and hitting each other to get on the bus 2:30 that afternoon after school was dismissed. Tears settled in my eyes. Just watching at how children were trying to get into that bus to go home, and they can't get in because it's so crowded, sitting on each other, standing on each other, standing on the steps in a 30-seater bus to get home. When there was a huge bus, and then you could have supplement that with more buses, we are talking about an oil-rich economy that we can be boasting about, where the leaders of this country can party every day at State House and garden and all about a Jackson, get party and dance around the place. They're all about dancing around and jumping around, enjoying themselves, when ordinary children, poor people children, suffering from...
Drive a fast car, come in and go let you out, and we are come from far.
That's what's happening. Our children are suffering. There are people that can't send the children every day to school. Because of what? Because they don't have the money, they don't have the means for transportation. They don't have the means to supply their needs. They're talking about free education. You gotta buy so much thing at school. Every week, the school gets something. They get market day, they get fun day, some kind of day they get that parents gotta find money now to send their children to the school because the school is trying to raise some kind of funds to get something done. We're talking about an oil economy again. It's a sad situation. It's a sad situation. Children go to school hungry. Some children, if you go around the school, they would send adults and beg them for $20 to buy something, because their parents were so eager for them to go to school close by. They would walk over to the school, but they don't have a $20 or $40 Guyana money talking about $20 $40 that they can't to buy something. And if you go to the school, a $20 $40 Guyana money can't buy nothing. Can't buy anything at the school. And so that is the situation, our children are facing. In the past week or so, or 2 weeks, it was time to pave to write CXC. I heard some parents, some was getting subsidy at a level some could not have got all. Some that were willing for their children to write the maximum subject that they intended could have not allowed them to write because they didn't have the money to pay.
This is
They
where
didn't get the money.
this is where government should be coming in and subsidizing and picking up those payments of parents who cannot afford it. You know, they need to have some kind of mechanism in place that these people can, apply so that, their children can take these exams and the government would cover it. But listen, we are dealing with an installed PPPC government that absolutely does not care about education. They are working, they're operating like if Guyana does not have a future. It is not important to groom, groom for the future, groom young people for the future of Guyana. They are operating like if Guyana is going to be no more after them. So that is what we are dealing with right now, and that is what is facing us right now. But moving forward, Pastor Sugrim, I know Region 6 is a robust fishing region. How are the fishermen coping? Because, since, we started extracting oil, there's been some major issues with fish and shrimp. If you don't mind, please elaborate for me.
Look, a young man came to us yesterday, right? He went out fishing, he went about 12 to 15 trips and came back in without making a cent. Without making a cent. Because, the catch is not there. Every time they go out and come back in, they run at a loss. And those guys that go on those trawlers, that just go not for a long period, 2-3 days, 4 days, probably the most 7 days, right around the car and so on. Come back in without anything. And the owner of those trawlers now will have to provide for them when they go on that boat. When they come back, they are broke. So even if they end up catch a few fish, it does not cover. One of the operator told me it does not cover the expense that he incurred with before the trawler went out. And so yes, it's extremely difficult for them. It's extremely hard for them. The fishing industry is on the downside. There are many people that do have fishing boats and so on, trying to get rid of it, trying to put it on the market, to sell it out because it's difficult. There are times that you may be fortunate that you may have a catch and so on, but most of the times it's difficult. And because of that, even the price of fish has risen dramatically. It's very, you go to the market, a slice of fish now probably not too just thicker than a big shrimp. You're talking about $1,000, $2,000, $4,000. Extremely expensive. So a day pay that a man work is almost impossible for him to eat one meal a day, much less paying his bills and take care of his children.
Yeah, but what if that man has a family also?
Yes, well, I'm saying you got your family don't have anything to get. Your family, the man go out fishing and he come back. A young man was thinking, and he told us a few days ago that he's heading to Suriname. He wants to go to Suriname and see if he gets some work because he says, he's fishing here for several trips and there's nothing. They haven't been catching anything. And when they do catch a few fish, it's just to cover, the boss man gotta get a little money because he go in his pocket all the time to send them out, right? So it's extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult for people generally. In every way, it's extremely difficult for people to survive in an oil-rich economy, an economy that we can boast about. Our politician in the government can internationally boast about infrastructure, but even though we are having some streets and roads that are built, and it caused neighbors to fight. I was telling a man up to this afternoon, it causes neighbor to fight because the streets are built so narrow that a car and a bicycle can't pass side by side. So when two neighbors get vehicle by chance, it's problems for one going and one come out. Neighbors, I tell them up to this afternoon, I say, listen, y'all don't need to get mad at each other. Y'all need to get mad at the government. Y'all need to get mad at them. Not to get mad at each other because they are putting you in a position to get mad at each other, but they could have done better. Big Isle money could have done better for the people, you know. And so the fisherman is struggling, parents struggling with their children. They can't harvest the sugar estate struggling, the farmers struggling. Collectively, you are having people struggling. They have a scenario in Region 6 recently when even the part-time workers, the 10-day worker, payment has been detained. The people not even get a pay because they say the money disappear from the region. Some catfish story take place and all the money gone. People ain't getting the pay, they getting the pay late, they getting the pay. But them big one want dance and party, them money deposit in them account way before time. Way before time. So even the part-time workers, Wayne, is struggling to get their payment when Mountain reach. When Mountain reach, they got struggling to get paid. I was told that for last month, the part-time workers, some of them, they ain't get a pay yet. And today is the 14th, tomorrow will be the 15th of another month, right? And we boasting about how many people, the government boasting about how many people they employ part-time, and they even paying the people. That even the part-time worker left in the work every day. The part-time worker left in the work every day, right? That's the kind of struggle that the Guyanese people is facing. And that is why, I have been saying over and over and over, I've been saying that all them things we talk about, Guyana biggest export is them people. Because if you offer our Guyanese to leave this country, you give them a week. Nobody left in this country. Everybody gone. They gone. That is how difficult it is for people in this country. You know, our wives and our daughters and so on, if you is the breadwinner of the house and you carry me money, let me tell you something. It's trouble for the lady shop. It's trouble. If she left, the culture up on the upper quarantine areas that people actually the main day of shopping is Saturday. Well, they gotta left home early morning and come back night time. Because they gonna walk around the whole place, go around, come around, price the same thing over and over. See if the price gonna drop down by the time the market finish. Because the money can't do. It can't do. It can't do. That's the struggle that people are getting.
Oh, Jesus Christ. If cost of living double, I don't know what happened. A pound of sugar is $300 already. Flour, everything gone up. Everything just raising. You gotta get about $40,000 for buy good ration. You gotta get 3 man now. A weekend man, a monthly man, and a fortnight man.
All right. 41 minutes after 8 here in the US, 41 minutes after 9 in Guyana. We are live here with Pastor Anil Sogrim, telling it as it is. Pastor Sogrim, you heard that lady.
Yeah.
She's just speaking on the issue of cost of living. And that's amongst many issues that Guyanese are facing today. And I want to say this, people might say, hey, I'm always on this, but when you go to the polls, people of Guyana, this is what you vote. This is what you vote on. You vote on issues. And we are talking about issues across the board here tonight. And it's important. It is very, very, very important and essential that people understand, what is happening. Pastor Sogrim, in Region 6, that's one of the regions. I would have heard that many who would have supported the PPPC in the past, they are now turning their backs on the party based on the treatment that is being meted out, because it's not just the PPPC is not just hurting the people who does not support them, but they're hurting their own supporters, the poor supporters. Your take, Soren, has...
Yeah, my name is Jacinty Caldata Francis C. Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my X next to the cup, and what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data. I have none.
Thank you so much, operator. That is a perfect example there, Pastor Sugrim. Your
Yeah, there are lots of people that is fed up. People fed up, people confused, people frustrated. Foot soldiers of the PPP, told me that, they're denied a small contract. Foot soldiers. And they said people that did nothing for the PPP, but because they are associates, friends, families of the PPP, ministers and top rank official, they just come and get contract amounting to huge amount of dollars. And people that was there with them, foot soldiers, people that work with them, toil with them and so on, they ain't get nothing. They ain't get nothing. I could tell you an instance recently where they give $250,000 grant. The grant supposed to be given to people that is trying to start a life. The grant is supposed to be given to people that, try to get a small business or started a small business that can help them to elevate a little more and so on. In Riverton, all the persons that were given grant, they are employed, properly employed, or their relatives and families of the PPP, the entire Riverton Town Council, all those people that were on the PR list, they get grant. Even though some of them get managerial position, and even though some of them get big business that don't deserve that. Some of them that get even are American citizens that live in Guyana, that benefited in the US and live in Guyana, were given that grant. And the ordinary people, like some people selling on the road corner, they want knock out the stand, they want broke down the stand, they want bulldoze them stand, they want them move out from there. And then they give them 1 penny when that grant was distributed. That is how the PPP government operates. The people that dearly should have received those monies did not get it. Did not get it. And people that is already established, they're the ones that get it. So it is so unfair in how they do that. And as we are on this, even if you go back when they had a COVID, since they had the COVID, up to today, up to today, there are some people that didn't get anything.
Yes.
Because when they went to some houses, they tell them, well, they can come back by issuing them a piece of pink slip. Excuse me. And they're going to deal with them later. Up to today, there were people that did not get a penny. When they had the flood, there are people farmers that got flood out, where they come and evaluate and inspect and all of that. I myself had ducks and fowls and so on that die out by the dozens, that they come over and over to make sure that, you know, that what I said to them was the case. They'll never get a penny. And there are people that didn't know how one fowl hen stay. If it black or white, they get money. People don't even know what sweet pepper and hot pepper in one garden, them get money. People don't even know how rice grow and what it look like in the field, them get money. And people who now live in Guyana and live in the US and Canada get money for planting rice and for having livestock and kitchen garden damage. It's just like what is revealing now. Even some of the part-time workers that is not working, people are drawing their money and they're not in Guyana. They're not on the job.
I saw that, yes. I saw that.
But the thing is, it is from the top. And so when you try fighting the man at the bottom, he's getting proper coverage and protection from the top. Because whatever is happening is coming from the top. You know all people say, no mind how. You try straight one dark tail. You get back, you turn back the same way that's how we did. No mind how you saw you straight on. And that's the system that the PPP government is having. You know, they just tell themselves they don't care what anybody does and what anybody say, but they're going to have their way in doing what they want to do. And unless the Guyanese people open their eyes and see what is happening in this country and to take a position individually and collectively against the regime that is ruling this country, more suffering will come upon the people of this country. Because we got to take a stand. The people of this country got to take a stand. And I'm telling people every day, you got to put action to your mouth. In Region 6, we got a lot of mortar and guitar. People can talk. You know, they can reach and complain all the time. They can talk all the time. But when to take a stance against what they're suffering from, they just refuse or they're afraid to do that. You got to stand up for your right. You got to stand up. You got to resist. You got to resist the suffering that is imposing upon you by this government. And it is us, the people, got to do that. And that's why people need to have a mindset, like you said before, that we need to go to the polls dealing with issues that we're facing, rather than talking about race and rather than implanting into the minds and people hatred among each other. We got to love each other. We're living in Guyana. You know, when them politicians, when them the judge and dance and State House, every time State House gets something, they get a big party and billions of Guyanese taxpayer money and we aisle money spending out there. We there suffering. We suffering because blackout command. Even if you get a TV, you can't watch a TV. Because blackout command. Even if you want a bathe a little late and you just depend on the pipe, you can't get water because the pipe ain't running. And sometimes when you're going to bathe, you're bathing with mud water, red water, stink water, dirty water, like trench water. Best you jump in the trench. That's the system. That's the kind services we getting in this country. The lighting working proper, the water working proper, the internet working proper. You know, that's the system we're having, and we talking about aisle money, possessing myself about aisle money. Those are things that we gotta address. Those are things that we gotta deal with. You know, don't telling people all the time you're building road and you're building schools and you're building hospitals. You got a skeleton hospital, you got a problem. A doctor told me that he's ashamed that he's a doctor at the hospital. Because when you prescribe drugs to people, the pharmacy don't get it. They don't have it. You gotta go to the drugstore. But you're building a big state-of-the-art hospital and you get one that you ain't get, if you go, you ain't get stripped for check your blood sugar. Your pressure kit now work properly, you can't check your pressure. People gotta go at 4 o'clock in the morning and get attended to till 12 o'clock. Some people before they got 10, you gotta admit them in the hospital because they get blackout and fall long. When you go in the hospital, they can't attend to you because they ain't nothing there that can recuperate you. So what are we really getting from this government? What service are we really getting? What service are we getting? The town council can't pick up the garbage. When they come pick up the garbage, you gotta pay for the pick it up. Like you said, when I was a small boy growing up, you got drainage and irrigation. All the drains were well kept. My father, I remember them days, my father used to be ensuring that you clean your parapet in the drain. The town council used to send a man and measure it, and they discount it from your rates and tax. Nowadays, PPP were talking about, when they had local government election, that, you get one PNC man up in Curveton calling me name loud, disrupting the operation of the council. They controlling the council for years and years and years. And there is nothing that the Curveton Town Council is doing for the people in Curveton. Nothing. Than doing for themselves. Nothing. And so when you go back to the same thing with the NDCs that the PPP operate and control, there is no service that is provided for the people. People don't get service. But them councillors and so on that PPP possessing themselves and enjoying the benefit that they could get from the PPP. Look, man, it's like, yeah, we want that. We're going to take care of y'all. Y'all suppress the people. The people got to rise up. The people in Region 6 and elsewhere in this country, they got to rise up. They got to stand up. They got to stand up on their feet. We got to know we're not sitting on wheelchair. People got to come off of that. People that in wheelchair, they want to recover so they can jump back on their foot and do something for themselves. People got to stand up.
Yes,
so
I agree. Pastor Sogrim, I agree with you. The people need to stand up, because if you don't stand for something, then it's obvious that you're nothing. So the people need to stand up. It's obvious. We can see what's going on. We see that the PPPC is a transactional install government. They're not people-centric. They don't care about the people. They don't care about their well-being. They don't care about providing proper service for the people. And we see this when it comes to GPL, GWI, among others. And if they're in charge of the councils, we see that, they're doing absolutely nothing. They're just totally sitting there, dominating. It's nepotism at its best, where they take care of themselves, the internal clan, and then the external people that supports them, that are close to them. Those are the ones that are being taken care of. We can see this. It is obvious. I know that the people can see this. But Pastor Sogrim, being an APNU AFC guy, is there anything that your party is doing in the region to kind of comfort people? There's a lot of people looking to make that crossover. Are you guys, encouraging people on there? And I don't mean encouraging people who, typically vote APN plus AFC, but those PPP supporters that is completely finished with them, and those that are on the fence with.
Look, we are as APNU, we are representing the interests of every Guyanese. Whether you would have voted for the PPP or whether you would have supported them, we are here to encourage you, to uplift you, to motivate you, and help you to understand roles and responsibilities that you have to take now and in the future for the good of this country. There are two gentlemen that is a part and supported the PPP that would have wrote to the council their concern and so on. You know what they did? They did not allow those letters to be discussed at the statutory. They refused. I was in copies of those letters. And so when correspondence had to be discussed, and I asked them, they take a vote on it and refuse, just like what the Speaker of Parliament doing. That is why I said they started from the top. They refuse to discuss the concern of the people in Creviton, for instance, the municipality of Creviton. They refuse. They don't want to discuss issues and concern of the people. There are some councillors that they have there, that when you're having a meeting, they just come to go. They come to go. Why should the meeting be detained? They refuse to discuss the matter and affairs of the people of Creviton. And I told them the very people that voted for them are the people that they're failing. The very people that they voted for. And there are numbers of people like that come to us every day. And we tell them we are here to represent them. We are here to encourage them, motivate them. We are here to help them to understand and open their eyes to see, the position that the PPP take versus, the 5 years that the AP and UAFC was in government. We were far more transparent. We were far more approachable. And people are going to cuss we out how they want and when they want. And we did not retaliate by victimizing anybody or shut them out from anything. But today, the very own of the PPP, if they speak anything, they're shut out and victimized by the PPP bureaucracy that is nothing more than a communist group of people that don't allow people to say anything.
Well said, well said, well said, Pastor Sugrim. I know the US delegates will be in New Amsterdam tomorrow, right? You said tomorrow.
Yes,
right.
Tomorrow.
Is that an open meeting for all, or is it an internal type meeting? Is it an open meeting for all?
Well, the meeting would begin with the New Amsterdam mayor, a call to the New Amsterdam mayor, Wayne McIntosh, and then be visiting the tongue, and then they would be meeting with community leaders and so forth. And
I just got confirmation. The meeting is not an open. I know that you'll be in attendance there. We are pressing for time. So if you can quickly just give me your closing remarks, please. And leave the Guyanese people with something to to feel encouraged. Or if you can.
I just want to tell us, and I'm speaking to myself as well. I just want to tell us that we as the people of Guyana need to ensure we encourage ourselves, our families, our neighbors, and our friends that the resources of this country does not belong to the PPP cabal. That those resources belongs to the people of Guyana. And the welfare of the Guyanese people needed to be taken care of. And thus far, that has not been the case. And for that to happen, we must encourage ourselves to defend ourselves and to voice our concern that the message can be heard so that the Guyanese people, all of us, can benefit from our resource. And coming next election, make sure that we have a regime change. Make sure that we vote for a government, the APNU, AFC government, that would make sure people have better tax allowances, better grants, every guy needs to own a home, and all of that, the plan that is in place. And so I want to encourage, that is hope. Every school child have meal when they go to school, have transportation to take them back and forth to school, proper security system in this country. Don't worry about the crime and all the killing that's taking place every day. accidents on the road. We need to ensure that we get a regime change whereby we would have people in position that will ensure that the welfare of the Guyanese people comes first.
Well said. Thank you so much, Region 6 Councillor and Pastor Anil Sugrim. Thank you so much, Pastor Sugrim. And well said. You know, we definitely need a regime change in Guyana. You know, we see what's happening in the country. We see that the lawlessness starts at the top. And like you said, you're experiencing the same thing at the council level. Well, that's what we get in Parliament also, right, with the PPPC. So it's no surprise. Thank you again, Pastor Sugrim, for joining us, and have a good evening, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Good night.
Good night. Good night, Pastor Sugrim. I want to thank everyone for tuning in and listening to tonight's program. Do take care of yourselves. Until next time, I say to you guys, a pleasant good evening. Good night, all.
Yeah, my name is Jacinty Caldata, Francis C. Vietnam, and since 1965, I become a voter. And I always place my X next to the cup. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore on the moon. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data. I have.
You could probably, on the maritime area, give Venezuela a channel out to the sea. So you make a slight concession in the maritime.
Basement level vibes with another one, straight up blackness. Aye, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny.